everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome the newcomers. I hope you like what you see, and if so, be part of this journey by hitting that subscription button. It's free, and hit the bell notification to be notified of the new uploads. I would just like to mention that if the video is a little bit too fast for you, up top there's 3 little buttons. You can click there, slow down the video to the speed you'd like. Also, right next to it, there's the CC letters for closed caption. You can turn that on, and you can read all the stitch that I'm calling down here. By pausing the video, take notes, will make it easier for you. Now, normally when I upload the videos, it takes about an hour for YouTube to search all my words that I'm saying, so it can appear on the closed captions. So don't panic if you don't see right away the closed captions, because the video has just been launched. It will show up in about a half an hour to an hour after the upload. I also would like to mention that if you have extra yarn, extra thread, and you'd like to help the women in need, we highly appreciate it and being very, very grateful for it. Thank you for the ones I already have helped and are still helping. If you'd like to donate, right below the video, there's a little bag of $. You can donate whatever amount you'd like. Nobody's asking for millions. Anything helps. It adds up at the end. You can also go into the description box. My PayPal account is there. You can donate through there if you'd like also. Please always give a thumbs up on the video if you like the video. It does help the video to circulate and also to be recognized worldwide. I gratefully appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's one way to help me out and to help to continue to create these beautiful pieces. Also share on your Facebook public. It costs nothing. Everything is free. There's no charge of anything. So please help out to grow the channel. I do have a Facebook group, private group. If you have a profile, you're more than welcome to request to be a member. It's free, of course, and we'll approve you. You must have a profile. Be careful with the links that you go into the groups that says cut and bit. These are fraud scammers that go through your phones, your computers, and take every information of yours. Do not open up those links. There's a lot of hackers in the groups now. That's why I made sure that my group is private. I want to thank every single one of you from the start being with me, and thank you so much for the newcomers. It costs nothing to subscribe, so please do so. Thank you so much, everybody. Everything will be listed always in the description box for every pattern that I create, the sizes, the thread that I use, which is Portugal thread. They're 100% cotton thread, 4-ply, which is similar to Aunt Lydia. Number 3, which number 3 Aunt Lydia is just a little bit thicker than my thread, not by much, but a little bit. I usually use a hook 3 or 3.5, a small one for tucking in loose ends, and a pair of scissors, of course. So thank you, everybody. Any other questions, suggestions, please feel free to comment. You can always get a hold of me if your intentions are to give some thread or yarn away. There's my email below the description box. There's my Facebook page that you can follow also, my Facebook group, my Instagram, my TikTok. So there's so many ways you can message me. Thank you so much, everybody. I hug every single one of you, and much blessings to all of you. Okay, let's get started. So for the people that have a hard time doing a magic circle, you can do a 6 to an 8 chain depending upon your tension. I'm going to do the magic circle because I'm just used to it, but I'm leaving enough string so I can tuck in all the loose ends, and especially with this thick thread, I mean, it's a little bit tricky sometimes to work with thick thread, right? So I'm only going to do a 2 chain. Normally I do a 3, but because this is so thick, I'm going to do a 2 chain. And I'm going inside of this magic circle. I'm going to do a total of 16 double crochets. Okay, so do your 16 double crochets, and then we're going to come back on the first one and close it with a slip stitch. So I've done my 16. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull really hard. This is thick thread, seriously, which is perfect for a rug because you don't have to buy the back part to stick in the back so you don't slip, because it's thick. It will be heavy on the floor, so not going to go anywhere. Now this with a needle at the end, I'm going to pass it through because the hook is too thick to come through these stitches. So I'm going to grab a needle and then pass it through and put a little bit of glue right at the edge on the last thing when I get in. So now I've closed in with a slip stitch. Try to get, I know black is sometimes hard. Maybe try to get my lighting on the camera. Maybe that'll help a little bit. So I'm going to go up again. Chain 2. Next space I'm doing 2 double crochets. Now each space will have 2 double crochets together. The first one I did chain 2, I left it alone because on the way back I'll do another one there and it hides more the 3 or the 2 chains going up. Now of course, being that it's the second round and everything is so tight, it's always harder for me to get through it, but eventually we start loosening up our tension a little bit more as we go. Remembering that you can do doilies out of this too. It's perfect for it, which I already do have for little boys' room, just a little bit different stitch. But I do have already a little rug and doily made out of this for boys' room. Almost, oops, I missed one here. It's 2 together, people. And I tend to lose myself when I'm blah, 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 away, as usual. You know, for some of you that know me. Okay, so 2 together. Come to the end. We're going to place the last one together on the same one that we did the 2 chains going up. Okay. So I am on my last one. I'm coming in where I started those 2 chains. Okay. Now you're supposed to have 32 double crochets here. I'm just going to come in my second chain here. If I can get my hook through it because I have such a tight stitch, and do a slip stitch and go up again, chain 2. In the same one, hopefully I can manage to get through it. If not, I'll use a smaller hook just to get through it. So you're going to put 2 together, and now this row 3 is 2 together, 1 alone. Next space, 2 together. So this whole row will be 2 together, and 1 alone, 2 together, and 1 alone. This is row 3. Okay, so I'll meet you at the end. We'll close it in with a slip stitch. Okay, everyone, so I pretty much finished doing 1, 2, 3. Now, I don't know how many rows I'm going to go up on this centerpiece of the rug because this is such a thick thread that obviously becomes way bigger. So you could always fast forward depending upon the size of thread you're using to know how many rows you're going to go up. So I don't know yet if I'm going to do 8 or 9 or 10 or 12. So I'm just going to continue to do it. Now the next row is very simple, and all of the other rows are just increasing on the 2 double crochets together. So I did my slip stitch. I'm going up 2 chain. I'm coming back into the same one and doing 2 together. Now, because this row was 1 alone, 2 together, this next row and the other rows will be always an increase of the 1 alone, 2 alone. Okay. Of course, I always have a hard time going in the first one. So I'll use a smaller one to get in. And that's what you should do if you're, especially if your stitch is tight. So I'm just using a thinner hook to get in, but of course, you know, it pulls through all the threads. So on the first one, the 2 chain, we put another double crochet together. Next space, 1 alone, and next space, 1 alone. So this row 4 is 2 together, 2 alone. Row 5, 2 together, 3 alone, row 6, 2 together, 4 alone. You know what I'm saying, right? So row 3 was 2 together, 1 alone. Row 4, 2 together, 2 alone. Row 5, 2 together, 3 alone, and so on. You can make the length that you would like. I'm going to continue mine, and then once I'm done with the size that I think I'm good enough that I want, then I'll come back to you and we'll proceed again with the next step. So this one is 2 together because we just finished doing 2 alone. And again, can't pull the threads on here. That's, you know, the downside of using so much of the thick thread, because there's so many threads that if you don't pull it properly through your hook, it just, you know, you're grabbing different threads. So the 2 together and then 2 alone. So I'm going to continue mine, and then I'll come back to you once I'm done the size that I need, okay? Okay, you guys, so I've done 8 rows of black and 2 rows of the fuchsia pink, which totals 10 rows, okay? Now we're going to change up a bit. So I did my 10 rows, always an increase. At each row you go, of course, you know, you count. So from the 3rd row we did 2 together, 1 alone. 4th row 2 together, 2 alone. 5th row 2 together, 3 alone. Anyway, so 10th row I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and on my 9th 2 together, which gives you the 10 double crochets. Now we're going to go up, chain 2 or 3 for some of you, depending on the size of thread yarn you're using. We're going to do 1 double crochet in the next space. We're going to create groups of 3 double crochet, okay? Going to make sure that I grab all my threads here, quite a bit of them, which these threads are just perfect for rugs. It's just a little bit sometimes hard to get all the threads in the hook, and I have upgraded the hook to a size 8. I was using a 7, and I find that number 8 is better to grab in all of the threads. So next space double crochet and next space double crochet. So we're creating groups of 3 double crochet. Now depending up on the size of threads you guys are using, let me see if I can put this here because I think it's showing too much brightness. Oh, it's going to be worse, I think. Maybe not, I don't know. Depending on the size of thread yarn you're using, I'm going to do 1 chain because this is very thick, but for most of you, you're probably going to do a 2 chain. I'm going to skip a space and going to the next and create those 3 double crochets again, 1 per space. I'm going to do this all the way around. We're supposed to have a total of 40 groups of 3 double crochet. My thread is finished here. I have to readapt another one. If you find that it's too tight, you can increase on your chain here. I did 1 because it's thick, but if I find that it's going to be pulling too much, I'm going to add a 2 chain. Another thing I want to mention, because we're going around, sometimes it feels like it's waving up like that, right? Don't worry about it because as we go, the pattern's going to straighten out, so don't stress over it, okay? It's normal that it waves a bit, because the stitches are all pulling. So it looks like it's all like wavy, but once we go, it's going to stay flat. So create your 3 groups of 3 double crochets, skip a space, do 1 or 2 chain, depending upon your tension. And you're supposed to have 40 groups at the end. Okay, everyone, I pretty much finished doing my groups. Now, I'm supposed to have 40. For some reason or another, I must have missed a stitch, or maybe I skipped one too many as I skipped one. So I had to make an adjustment, which is no biggie. So I had to go back I had 38. Now, if you have 38, that's fine too, as long as you have even numbers. That's great. Because I want mine big enough, I absolutely wanted to fit in my 40. But if you have 36 or 38, there's no problem because it has to be even numbers. So I went back. I had 38, okay, and I wanted 40. So I went back 9 space, 9 groups. One, I put a 2 together, then skip the space, then put a 2 together, and then skip the space. So I did an adjustment in 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, I have to go back a little bit more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I did the adjustment of putting 2 together so I can skip that 1 and have that 1 left. But if you have 38 or 36, no biggie. I don't know what happened here. Maybe I skipped too much as I did my groups and now I was missing. But I could have left it at 38, but I didn't want to because I wanted for it to be wide enough. Anyway, so on to the next row. So I close in with a slip stitch. Now we need to do the walk. I'm going to grab a smaller one so I can get in my I don't want it to look too thick, so I'll take a smaller hook. I'm in a slip stitch. I call it the walk. I'm going to slip stitch and slip stitch all the way to the center of the so again slip stitch into the center here of the space. Now in these spaces I'm going to do a single in 1 chain. For some of you, a single and 2 chain. I'm going to create again the groups of 3 double crochet, and that's how we're going to proceed all the way around. Now you see, if you do only 1 chain space or 2, most probably we'll have to do a 2 because of the space of the 3 double crochet. So 2 chain and into the next one. So it's going to be proceeded this way all the way around for the next few rows. I don't know how many rows I'm going to do yet. So in the next row, you're going to proceed the same way. You're going to close it in, do the walk with a slip stitch into the center again of the space and create your 3. I don't know how many rows of these I'm going to do, probably 4 or 6. I'm going to advance mine and then I'm going to come back, or you can advance the video and see how many I've done. Okay, so very simple. Coming to the end, close in with slip stitch, do the walk, and create your groups of 3 double crochet again. Okay. Okay, you guys, so I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can go bigger if you want. All you have to do is just repeat rows until the length you would like. I'm going to stop at 5 because it's, this thread is already thick enough, makes it big enough. So I've closed in with the slip stitch. I go up 2 chain. For me, for some of you, depending the size of the yarn thread you're using, you can do 3 chain. I'm going to do this row only double crochets all the way around. So 1 per space and then 2 inside of the space of the 2 chain. So very simple. And then again 1 per space. I'm going to do this all the way around until the end, and then I'll come back to you at the end again. We're almost done. And then we're going to put the ears and the bow tie all together. Well, of course, we still have a little bit of the edge to finish, but after that. Okay, so just do 1 double crochet per space and then 2 inside of the 2 chain space. Okay, you guys, so I pretty much finished doing my round of all double crochets, one per space, and then two inside of the two chain space. I'm going to come in now with my black. I'm going to do the slip stitch knot, obviously. I'm going to come, this is where I closed off, so just tucked in a little bit of my loose end, and then I'm going to cut the edge and then glue it so it doesn't come out. So basically you can start anywhere. I'm just going to go here where I started my chains, just like that. Try to pull this. I'm going to do single and 1 and 2 chain. Now for some of you might have to do a 3 chain. I'm going to skip 1, 2 on my third one. Now if I see that it's too tight, then I'll do a 3 chain. But because this thread, this yarn, whatever you want to call it, is extremely thick, maybe I can get away doing just the 2 chain. Trying to hide my little leftover, because then we're going to work inside of these loops. Okay, so 2 chain again. I'm going to skip 1, 2 on my third one, single, 1, 2, 1, 2. So I have 1, 2, and 3 loops. I have 1, 2, 3 loops. Now I'm going to do a 4 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4 chain. 1, 2 on my third one again. Now for some of you could even do a 5 chain if your stitch is too tight. And again, 3 chain, 2 chain. 1, 2, skip 1, 2 on my third one. So we're always going to have 3 chains of 2 for me, 3 for you most probably, because you're probably not using the same thickness as this. So 1, 2, 3 spaces of 2 chain and 1 of 4 chain, and then again 1, 2, and I'm going to skip 1, 2, 3 on my third one. I'm going to do those 3 spaces again. 1, 2 chain, 1, 2, 3. And now, since we have the 3 space of the 2 chain, because this is the 4, I'm going to come in and do my 4 chain. 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to repeat this all the way around. Okay? So I'll meet you at the end. Don't forget, 3 space of 2 chain, 3 chain for some of you, and then 1 space of 4 chain, always skipping 2 of them going into the third. Skip 2 into the third. Now, like I said, if you need to do an extra chain where you have your 4, you can do 5 chain. And by the way, I will leave the link also to the doily of similar mat that I did, a rug, for a boy's room. Even though it's a boy, they wanted the mini. So I did the mini. It looks so beautiful. And it's with 4-ply, which is similar to Aunt Lydia. I'll leave the link below. You could always do the doily from there also. Okay? Because everything is smaller. So less stitch, less everything. Okay? Okay, you guys. So I reached the end. And coming to the end, I had to cheat a bit here. So just before my last 3 chains here, loops, let's call them loops to make it easier on us before the last 3. So I did my 4 chains and came in on my third double crochet. Then I skipped a 2 and did my first loop. And then my second loop, I skipped only 1 in order to fit properly, and did my second loop. And my third loop, I also skipped 1. And then my last 4 chain, I also skipped one and went in with a slip stitch, okay, or else I wouldn't have the right amount. But no biggie, it doesn't change anything on the pattern. Okay, and now we're going to do the walk. So we did a slip stitch. I'm going to come in with a single on my first loop and another single into the second loop. If you find that it's too tight for you, then no worries. If it's too tight for you, then you can do a 2 single on the first loop and then go into the middle loop. Okay, and I'm going to do chain 1. I'm coming into the third loop. Okay, so especially when we're doing like the first one, it's always more harder. So you can do those 2 chains if you want on the first 2 loops, but if you can get away with one, then you're good to go. Okay, so we did 1 chain here. If you need to do 2, then by all means. Now we're going to come in the 4th chain where we have the 4 chains, and we're going to do 6 double crochets. So we're going to do 3, 4, 5. I don't like when the thread is pulling like that. So we have 4, 5, and 6. Now it's going to make it easier when we have to come to this one here. So we go directly into the first one. See, it makes it much easier. We don't have to do the 2 singles, but the first one is normal for us to do in order to come in. Okay, now I'm going to do a chain 1, chain 1 into the last one. I have a knot here, but no biggie because I can hide it. We're going to go directly into the 4 chain and do the 6 double crochets. Trying to hide my knot thread there, which usually I'm pretty good at. And if anything's sticking out after that, I can cut it and then put a little bit glue in between the stitch, and nothing's going to come apart. So I did 1 chain, 1 single, 1 chain, 1 single, 1 chain, and 1 on. If you find it still that it's too tight, then we can do you can do 2 singles in that space if you think that it's too tight for you. Okay, we can cheat a bit here and there. So we have 4, 5, and 6. Again, I'm going to do a chain 1, I would have loved to have it a little bit different. Let me try something here. No. Sometimes you just have to try it and see whatever way is best. Okay, so I'm going to come directly into the first loop, so no chain on there. Now we do 1 chain, we go into the middle one, And I'm not tightening too much, so one chain and into my third one. Okay, I don't want to tighten it too much. And then I'm coming directly again into the 4 chain and creating my 6. I think I missed a few threads here. My 6 double crochet. So we have one more row only, and we're done. Two, 4, 5, one more. So I'm just gonna repeat again so there's no confusion. So we did the 6. We're gonna come directly into the first loop with a single, 1 chain, and I'm trying to loosen it up. I don't want it to be too tight. Okay, 1 chain, and into the third one with a single. Okay, so after we did our 6 double crochets, we go directly into the first loop with a single, 1 chain, to the second loop with a single, 1 chain, into the third loop, and now we come back in the 4th chain and do the 6 double crochets. Okay, so I'm going to continue mine, and then I'm going to cut my thread at the end, and I'm going to come back in with the pink to finish it off. Okay, you guys, so we've reached the end where we started off with those 2 singles on the first one because we wanted to get a head start the right way, and then I'm closing it off with a slip stitch. Now I'm going to cut my thread because I only have one more row, but I like to cut a little bit longer so I can tuck in, especially that this is very thick thread. As you can see how many threads are on there. It's just crazy, isn't it? Apparently there's 24. Okay. Okay, you guys, so I'm coming in with the pink, and this is the last row. I'm going to leave a little bit of string there so I can okay, everyone, so I'm going to do with the pink my last row. I'm going to come in my first double crochet using back loops only. And I'm going to do single, try to hide as much as I can my thread. So I have my first single, second, back loops, third, fourth, fifth, and my sixth back loop. No, I don't like it when there's strings pulled here. Now it makes it a little bit harder because this hook is smaller. I wanted to pull in everything together with a smaller hook, but it seems like it's very difficult. I might have to go back to my regular hook. If it's going to keep pulling threads, that won't be fun, right? Now this thing is big and heavy. One, two, and three. So I'm going to go back to my third one. I'd like to make a little design on here. Hopefully, if I can. Okay, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Come back into the same space. I think I'll need to use my bigger hook because it keeps pulling on these threads. So I did chain 3. I'm coming back into the same space, closing it in, and then 1, 2, 3, and 4, and coming back into the same one, and 1, 2, and 3, coming back into the same space. See how that works out. And then next space, back loops only, single, 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 and then obviously we're at the singles here. Coming into the first loop. So I did a single right after the double crochet. I went into the first loop. I'm going to jump right into the second loop. You can work out your end as you would like. And I'm coming directly in already back loops on the double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to repeat again the process of the 3 chain. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to come back in. If you feel more comfortable, because there's so much stitching on this last one here with back loop, you can use the front loop too. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm coming back in again. Single, and 1, 2, and 3. Back in again with single and directly into the next back loop, single. So it's just a repeat now of everything. So it's going to stay like this. I think it's pretty, and why not, right? Now, like I said, if you feel comfortable, because we have so much to do on this, I'm probably going to give it a try and see how it looks by grabbing both loops in order for it to stay stronger, because there's so much stitching in there. And I'll come back to you once I'm done. Okay, so basically we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 singles. So I went in, was it? No, right after the double crochet we have 1, 2, 3, 4 singles. Okay, so I'll meet you at the end. Okay, you guys, so I decided to come back and show you exactly what I'm doing so there's no mistakes. So I decided to go on front loop. What I did was, so I do 3 singles where the double crochets are, and then I'm grabbing front loop. Okay, the other ones are back loop. So on my 4th double crochet, I'm doing single, 3 chain, and creating that effect just to be secure, and then 4 chains, coming back in, and 1, 2, 3, and coming back in. I'm grabbing both loops. Okay, and then back loops. I'm going to do 1 single because we only have 6 double crochets. I should have thought of putting 7, but I didn't. So 1, 2, and 3 singles, which that means I'm grabbing the first stitch right after the double crochet. Okay, so it can be nice and centered. And then I'm coming in right on the center back loop of that 1 chain and the 1 chain just before the double crochet. And then into the first double crochet with single back loops. I'm only using back loops. So again, counting first back loop, second, third. So this is on the 3rd double crochet. And on my 4th one, I'm going to use the front loop. single, 3 chain, and then repeat everything again. So if you need to rewind a bit, then go ahead. Okay, meet you at the end. Okay, you guys, so I've already stitched 1 yarn and glued all the way around. Now it's very hard to see on camera. You're only going to be able to see once I do the little video and the pictures. Now with the other one, I've put it into place more or less. I didn't count any stitch. I went along as the bow tie. I don't even know where I put it. Somewhere underneath here. Okay, so the bow tie. So basically I put it more or less where I want it to be, and then see what was best to put it on. So I've glued already the second one. Let me see if I can lift this camera higher. Okay, you guys, I guess I can't get it any higher than this. So basically, so I've glued it on already, so I don't want it to, well, a little bit. Didn't glue it completely. I still have to glue the edges because I don't want it to move. I've already put my needle on, and I've placed it into place. So basically, I'm just going to go in and out of the stitches here. It's kind of hard to get it through. Not through, it's easy to get it through. It's just my hand, I have to place it underneath, and this thing is really heavy and thick. So I'm just going to go in and out of my stitches. Pull a little bit. And then I'm going to come back in, try to find the right place for it. So basically, you're just stitching it right on the line. Now you can grab one thing only or two. I'm going to grab both and just go back in and out, because like this it's not noticeable. So in one stitch and out the other. But you get the idea. And then with the bow tie, I'm just going to place it into place and glue it on. Now it's going to be very difficult. Wow, I almost knocked my camera. Can you believe this? So this is very big, and it's really hard for me to film and do this because my little table is very small. This is my manicure nail table, so very difficult to work with. Very tiny table, right? But anyway, you get the ideas. So then I'm just going to finish gluing everything else together. And the bow tie, I'm going to place it properly as I want it to be. So you see what best fits for you. And then that's about it. So I'm going to leave it at that. Once I finish the stitch here, I'm going to glue the rest all the way around. Transparent hot gun glue. And then I'll have a little video on display and pictures in display and the measurements and how much yarn I've used. So I'll leave everything below, and also we'll leave the link to the doily of the Minnie Mouse. Okay, so thank you so much, everybody. Please don't forget to give a thumbs up and also share. It's very important to have the channel recognized and also grow, of course. So I send all of you much love, much hugs. God bless. Stay safe. And until next time, thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.